Hello, welcome to Get Your Mind On. I'm Lori Stohs. Well, if you noticed last week, it was our 100th blogisode. What a great feeling that when I think about that accomplishment, it feels really good. Not just to me, because in the beginning, the first one, of course, was a little fearful, but just to be able to give back to all of you and really help you think about how you can change the way you think and give you ideas to inspire action and motivate you to new levels of success. And as a matter of fact, that was really when we created Get Your Mind On years ago, a couple years ago, that was really our desire. We had three kind of goals and mission, and that was really what we're here to do. And so I'm really glad, and I hope you've been able to grab some things from there and utilize it into your life and be better. So as we really think about this next series, of course, when I get to that 100 mark, it's kind of a special mark to think about what's next. And again, as I grow through my development and I visit with many of you who I'm coaching, there's always the next thing, and how do we really continue to make it better every day? Well, one thing that I've recognized even in my growth is really the whole point of getting your mind off. And, you know, we live such busy lives. We want that success and we want that motivation, but we get caught up in this busyness and all of everything that's going fast and quickly. And getting your mind on has allowed you to think about who you are and how you deal with some of those things. But I really feel it's time to focus on really getting our mind off. Which getting our mind off is really when you think about successful people and read about successful people and kind of moving to that next level is how can we pull back and slow down? That's difficult for many of us and difficult for many people when I've said, you know, you need to take some silent time or some stillness or quiet time. And they look at me like, yeah, right. So I am going to challenge us over the next few months at least, especially right now. It's a great time as we're all naturally busy, and it's that time of the season with the holidays coming up that it'd be really a good time, I think, to focus on getting our mind off. So you're going to see us shift a little bit here for a little while on getting your mind off. And so when you step back and think about that, you know, we may say, well, what benefit is that to me? I don't have time, right? Usually you say, well, why don't I do it? First, let's say kudos to those of you who do it already. Because if you have gotten it into your life, you do know the value of it. But those of us who haven't, it is kind of, gosh, why don't I do it? Well, number one is I don't have time. Well, really, you don't have time not to. It's one of those things when you really think about getting your mind off. As we'll talk over the next few weeks, you're going to find that the benefits of getting your mind off are as great as those in terms of doing some mind work or exercise or those types of things. Because when we go to stillness and peace, we really end up getting more rest in our day and more benefits in how our ideas come, our creativity flows, and really how much more calmer we are in our day. But remember, the one thing we all have the same of is time, right? So how can some of us fit it in and some of us can't? It's really prioritizing. Second is we're just too busy, right? We just have too much going on and I can't make it a priority. Again, you have to make that decision if this is something you want to do. And so we'll work on that week by week. Of course, positive charge every week. I'm going to give you something to think about. I don't expect you to start from zero and instantly go to stillness or finding something in your day of taking time out. But I'm going to challenge you a little bit every time and give you some different ideas on how we can get to that point. And three, sometimes we just really think about fear, which might be something that didn't come into your mind that you think, oh, we always kind of make an excuse that maybe we're too busy or we don't have enough time. But sometimes when I really get down to it with people, it really comes to the point that really being still and being silent is kind of scary. Because you might discover some things you maybe don't want to get close to when you slow down, that maybe we've been rushing for certain reasons, to find our value and to maybe get away from those emotions, to maybe numb those emotions that we have. You know, when we think about all our time that we spend in our day, we keep busy and we really think about, why are we keeping busy? What is the value of that? And sometimes we do it because we're fearful. We're afraid to slow down. And so I'm going to challenge you with that as well. It might have not been, like I said, the thing that popped up instantly, but sometimes when you get to that point, it's like, wow, I'm going to learn some more about myself. So I think those three things, are critical. And as we really think about getting your mind off, you know, a lot of times people say, well, what benefits does that give me? I'm just going to ask for you to balancing a little bit of the on time with a little off time. And really the benefits are really, again, to think about how much more productive you can be, how much better you feel, and again, how much calmer you are when you deal with situations and issues. When you think about that mindfulness, when you take a moment to really even just breathe before you do something, before you walk into a meeting, before you have a difficult conversation, it kind of centers you and puts you in a different place. And this past couple weeks ago, I was with a client, and I could tell she was in a hurry. She had a lot going on. She came in the meeting rushing and just kind of had an edge about her. And as we talked about that through the day, I paused and said, let's do a breathing activity. And I think at the beginning they thought I was kind of nuts. And I had a very simple 1-minute app on my phone that was just a slow breathing. And it really allowed us to kind of recenter and refocus. And I think that's important, even though it was just a minute in our day. And it seems a lot longer, especially when it's silent. But really, it allowed us to kind of step back and say, recenter, and then refocus. And as we had that conversation, what was interesting is I said, you probably go from meeting to meeting and feeling rushed in the same way, and you're still thinking about the last meeting before the next meeting. And she's like, yeah, I do. And I said, even just stopping to take a minute before you go to the next meeting will allow you to center and make that person feel like you're paying attention to them. So there are great benefits to it. And so over the next weeks, we're going to do different types of things. We're going to really start with some of the our habits like hurrying and busy and those kinds of things to understand why we do those things before we really move to the more get your mind off types of things like peace and silence, contentment, joy, those types of things, because I feel like we got to really first step back and say, why are we doing what we're doing today before we make some of the change? So for positive charge this week, I really want you to think about one is, do you take time to have some time in your day where you get your mind off and have a little silence? Two, if not, what would be the reason that you're not doing it? Is it because of time? Is it because you're too busy? Or is it maybe because of that fear? And three, just think about something that you can do differently, even taking 1 minute to pause, or even 5 minutes just to, before you walk in the office or in that next appointment, just, shut your car off and have your phone on, even a timer, and just sit for 5 minutes to just enjoy some time by yourself. We know the benefits of getting our mind off is really important. We're going to talk about that over the next few weeks because it will help you be more peaceful, more calm, and achieve higher levels of success. Thank you for joining us today, and remember to get your mind off.